So, how does invincibility feel like?
That's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, I think I survived some bad positions in this event. But again, I mean, when I think about it, I played, what did I play? For the World of Rapid and Blitz, I didn't lose a game. I played the St. Louis event, I didn't lose a game. So I'm actually very proud of the fact that I haven't lost a Rapid or Blitz game in a very, very long time. I think the last one I lost was probably to Ali Reza in 2019. Like I said before, I think mainly you try to find good moves, and I mean I think the main difference is that I didn't really feel any pressure. I mean even today I was just playing.
Welcome everyone to the final tiebreaks of the FIDE Grand Prix in Berlin. Maria, today Hikaru starts off with the white pieces. What do you make of his chances?
Hello everyone, hi Benjamin, hi chat. Yeah, it's really exciting to be here, to have Hikaru all the way to the final and in the tiebreak. Very good chances, and definitely with white pieces he's gonna push. And yeah, I have pretty good feeling about this. What about you?
Yeah, no, same. I think, yeah, he's the favorite to win today. As we all know, he's a beast in Rapid and Blitz chess, but even more so in Blitz. Like, let's say this ends in a draw, in a tie. That's only good for him, I think. But yeah, I'm sure that he's going to try to put a lot of pressure in the very first game here with the white pieces. So how do you expect him to open up? With e4, d4, maybe c4, f3?
Hard to say. I think Hikaru will try to go away from theory as soon as possible. So it's possible we might see a ready start. Or by the way, will we have moves? Oh, e4. Yeah. Wow, e4. So it's probably going to be something similar to what we saw before with Berlin.
Yeah. So here we have another. Probably Levon's going to go into the Marshall again, bishop e7, rook e1, b5, bishop e3 and castles. And I'm very curious to see where Hikaru has an improvement prepared. But I guess we'll find out shortly.
Yeah. Right, so for now it's all repeating, a4.
So moves are flying in. As we said, we have and Hikaru goes for this line with a4, knight d4, knight d2. So I think Levon, if I'm not mistaken, Levon had this in his speed chess championship match against Dingley Ren, but Levon was choosing this line a lot from the white pieces. Generally black trades on b3 and then goes f6. And this line is considered to be fine. Oh, he goes knight b4, interesting. So this might already be a first surprise. He's sacrificing this pawn, but if white takes it, black should be able to get a lot of initiative with someone like queen d5. So let's see.
Queen d5 and if knight goes back to f3, supposedly we don't want to play f3. We also attack the bishop on e7.
Yeah, white is up a pawn, and black doesn't have anything concrete, but black just has good compensation overall. That's certainly how people like playing in the Marshall. But Hikaru does take the pawn, and Levon goes to knight e5. And here we see the players on camera. So
both f3 and knight f3 are possible.
Indeed, yeah.
Personally, with knight f3 attacking the bishop, does black really have that much initiative?
It's a good question. Yeah, I mean, black is not getting the pawn back anytime soon, but he always has the two bishops, especially this bishop on b7 is very strong. I guess one of the rooks is going to come to e8. His pawn on c2 is always under attack. Hikaru also still playing very quickly, so I'm curious whether he's still in his preparation. There we see him wiping some dust off the board. But let's see, he has 15 minutes or 16 minutes, I can't. Well, let's try to look closely. Hikaru has 16 minutes, Levon has 16 minutes and 40 seconds, so I think, okay, Levon is definitely in his preparation. I guess Hikaru as well. And Levon seems to be thinking here after this move f3, which is a bit of a surprise. Like, how has he not checked this move, right?
I'm pretty sure he just made it up at the board.
I think knight b4 was just an improvisation.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. Unless he's again doing his trying to trick and pretend that he is thinking while he's still in his prep, but doing this in a rapid game, I'm not sure if it's done very often.
Yeah.
I could see Levon doing something like this just at the board, because he kind of feeling the position is nice. Well, f3 of course is damaging the pawn structure, so black clearly has a compensation. If Hikaru played knight f3, queen d7, in fact the best engine move would be knight back to e5. So Hikaru saw that probably that knight e5 is the best move, and like you cannot really improve the position otherwise, and he obviously doesn't want to make a draw in 15 moves with white, so he went for f3.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
bishop d6,
bishop d6,
played
logical,
Levon.
hitting the knight.
d4 to defend the knight. So here black has some options, maybe a rook to a8, to e8, sorry. He could also go f6. I guess Hikaru wants to go back to g4 or d4. d4, yeah, defends the knight. On the other hand, black maybe gets more control over the light squares. So let's see, and I think Hikaru is up a bit of time on the clock. I can't exactly tell how much. But yeah, no, I see people in the chat being hyped. I mean, yeah, this is going to be very exciting, guys. After 2 classical games, we'll have some rapid action. So the moves are flying in fast. There's no room for long things here. So, and this suits Hikaru. This is what he practices all day, every day.
Yeah, and of course, he is much more of a favorite in faster controls. He enjoys it. He loves this time control. So he's definitely in the zone right now.
For sure. And rook a8 played by Levon. So let's see how Hikaru will continue here. Levon is hitting his knight on e5. Maybe he, I don't know, move like bishop f4 is always tricky because it's, you also pin yourself, so then move like f6 becomes very dangerous. We see Hikaru thinking here. He could also play a move like bishop d2, making sure this knight is always under attack. And let's try to figure out the time situation. It seems like Hikaru has 16 minutes and Levon has 13 minutes and 40 seconds, so that's definitely in Hikaru's favor.
So basically, this is the first moment in the game where Hikaru is thinking.
Right, yeah, of course it's very difficult to prepare every move, but it indeed seems that he's on his own here for the first time in the game. So let's see what he's gonna... Oh wait, actually Levon has 14 minutes. Hikaru is just a little under 16. So let's see what he's gonna do. I think something like bishop d2 makes sense, or maybe c3, hitting this knight over here. Lots of options. And Levon,
Yeah,
as
this
we see...
might be a critical position. Because if you are prepared to lose a pawn, you need to do it in the best way. Otherwise, black might get a lot of counterplay. Because of course, with two bishops, it's gonna be much easier in an open position.
Yeah, and very funny. Chat
Yeah,
is trolling.
c3.
They're suggesting with f4, which would hang checkmate. c3 makes a lot of sense. Yeah, hitting this knight. Maybe knight just has to go back, or black has the option of going f6 with a counterattack on the knight. But let's see what Hikaru is gonna come up with here. So yeah, I guess both players are definitely on their own here.
But it's also quite impressive of Levon to come up with something so risky, to sacrifice a pawn in the center, and then well, if you don't win it back, of course, once the couple of pieces are traded, it's gonna be much better for white.
Yeah, that's indeed, of course, always the risky thing about the Marshal. If you don't know exactly what you're doing, like you said, black will be down a pawn, but I mean, he will always have some compensation, right, with the two bishops. So It will be a very interesting game for sure. So let's see. Hikaru is thinking he's getting under 14 minutes, so they're evening up on the clock. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what move he will come up with. So
Yeah, so bishop d2 is also probably a move. Maybe he's considering to take on b5. He also has a move like rook a7 later.
right, yeah, it will make a lot of sense to trade here since this rook has moved away from the a file. So I think that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Also,
So,
maybe
yeah.
rook a5 is an option.
Right, yeah, that could also be an option. Try to target this pawn. But yeah, he can't be taking too long here. He's getting down to 13 minutes. Of course, you can allow yourself a think or two, but not too much, of course. Because with the 10-second increment really is not much.
Yeah, well,
So,
yeah, currently they are nearly the same on time. Hikaru slightly lower, but this might be one of the critical moments where taking time to think is not a crime. c3, then knight d7. What?
knight d7
Okay.
is not a move. Oh, wait, they meant nah, but I mean, I guess they meant c3, and if the knight moves back, then knight d7. I guess there's something to be said, although not really, because this knight will always hang in all variations, so it's not really an option.
Yeah, because the queen is overloaded defending both the knight on b3 and the rook on e1, so you've got to be careful, Chad. Don't drop your pieces.
And
giving
Hikaru
rook for
has
two
traded
knights
on
is...
b5
Okay.
and played bishop d2. Levon played knight
Okay,
c6. So apparently bishop f4 is very good here, defending the knight. So let's see, if black goes f6, do we... I guess we just trade. Because
Yeah,
if black
once
takes an
we
f4,
trade the bishop pair, is there any compensation for the pawn left for black? We have an open file, we have a pawn in the center. There are not so many pieces. The only weakness white has is slightly opened king, but without a dark squared bishop, not sure if black can create anything on the king side.
true, yeah. I think, yeah, bishop f4 looks to be... Oh, and bishop f4 is on the board. Bishop f4, very good. So let's analyze real quick. Indeed, as you said, if we trade off one pair of the bishops, that is very, very good. Because one bishop alone can do too much damage. But the bishop pair is really what makes it dangerous, because they control both colors, right? And let's say black goes f6, I think we just trade here. And if black takes on f4, we have this knight e7 with a check. And
yeah, very
black is
unfortunate
forced...
queen positioning.
Indeed, and here white wins. So let's see what Levon is gonna do here.
So he can move the knight away so that there is no trade on c6.
Right, but I guess if black goes knight e7, we can always consider something like knight at d3. Once again, we want to trade off one pair of bishops. And white should be in pretty good shape, I think.
Yeah. If knight to b4.
Knight b4 also makes sense, but knight just came from there, right? So we just gave white an extra developing move.
Yeah. The bishop just got a free move to f4.
So I really like Hikaru's chances at the moment. I mean, it looks good for him. On the downside, he has 11 minutes and Levon has 13, so that is always something to keep in mind. But on the board position, looks great. I think he's up a pawn, and Levon's compensation seems to be evaporating. So he goes king h8. Now the point behind this move is that, let's say white takes on c6, now he wants to take an f4, and this is no longer a fork. So let's see what Hikaru is gonna do here. Maybe just a slow developing move like queen here. Well, there's always bishop e4 that you have to reckon with. So let's see what he's gonna do here.
Was there a move?
No, there's no move yet.
Chat is spamming. Chat is spamming. There was a blunder.
Well, I mean, King
King
h8 is not
h8.
the King h8 was played by Levon, which is not the best move apparently. That's why they're yelling blunder. White has a lot of options here. So let's see. Queen d2 apparently is the move. I guess what Levon wants to do is go something like bishop e4, extracting the queen and the rook. Because if you go c3, you hang your knight. But apparently this all works out really well for white. Because if you go into this whole line, I guess we have knight. Maybe we have knight f7 at the end. We have knight f7. Because if you take, you hang your rook. But you don't want to go too deep into this. We'll just keep the position on the board. Let's see what Hikaru is gonna do. He's getting under 10 minutes. Levon has 12:46 on his clock. Alright, so let's see.
Yeah, apparently
So,
to move the king to h1 is also a possibility for white, saving the advantage. Also, we might just as well switch off the engine and just follow chat. Chat is really on fire today.
Chat is always the best.
Okay,
of
bishop
course.
h2. Yes,
Bishop
the
h2,
best move
also a nice
played.
move. So the point behind the move bishop h2 is that now we can. So let's say black plays f6 here,
Mhm.
and we take.
Takes.
Now in this other position, if black were to take an f4, black gets the bishop pair, right? But now this would just be a trade. And as we discussed, if we trade off one of the bishops, then black doesn't really have any compensation for the pawn. So let's see what maybe he could take here, but I feel like that should backfire. So I kind of like bishop h2 from a practical standpoint.
It's very hard to take on e5 unless you're stockfish, because the pawn
Right.
becomes so powerful on e5.
Yeah. So what black could do is take on e5. Now let's say we recapture, he takes with the bishop. And now either way, the endgame should be good for us. Like let's say we take on d5, black's gonna take here. We recapture, black takes here. And after something like knight at c5, this knight on c5 can never be challenged. We can always come in with rook to a7. So it's definitely more pleasant for white. The question is whether we can really win this. But I think Levon should probably go for this. Otherwise he will just be down a pawn, because then Hikaru is just gonna trade here in the next move. But let's see what he's gonna do.
Yeah, the open file definitely will be immediately working out for white after all the trades.
Indeed.
Do you think he will take?
I think so, because I do not see another move for Levon. Because otherwise Hikaru is just gonna trade off one of the bishops. So if you are gonna trade off the bishops, then you might as well just get back your pawn in the process, right? Because let's say you play something like knight e7, I guess we always have knight at d3 with a good position. So see the players here on the main screen. Levon has 11 minutes on his clock, Hikaru has 9. So Hikaru is down 2 minutes on the clock. But once again, we like the position, so that's the most important.
Well, let's see what he will do.
Right.
The LeBron.
Levon Aronian. I like your shirt, by the way. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess since he's thinking so long, he was trying to find alternatives for taking on e5. Well, one of the recommended moves by the engine is h6. It seems a bit slow. I don't even understand what exactly it does, except for making just a loft for king. So,
Well, I
Black
guess
needs
just
to
that,
come
yeah.
up with something. Yeah.
He just makes sure that he never can get back rank checkmated. But I guess Hikaru is just gonna trade on c6, and if black recaptures, We can trade here whenever we want to. And then once again, like, we get this outpost for a knight on c5, which looks great. And actually, as we speak, Levon has traded on e5. So now I expect Hikaru to take with the pawn. And we'll probably go into that endgame that we discussed earlier, where white is a little bit better. The question is whether Hikaru can win.
Exactly. Well, it's definitely pleasant to open the tie breaks with such a position.
For sure, yeah. And we see Hikaru here on the main screen, looking very determined. So Levon takes on e5. So let's see what he will do. He could also trade everything on the e5 square. I guess he's gonna trade here, but we'll just have to wait and see. Actually, I was thinking,
Yeah, I guess he will trade. Yeah,
So you think he's gonna trade on d5 or on e5?
I think on e5.
All right. So let's say we take. Black's gonna take. I guess if we take, Black takes here first, and yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, still-
ideally keeping both rooks would be the best, but can white avoid trading the rooks?
Right, that is a good question.
Probably not. No.
Take an e5. I guess he's gonna take on d5. Right, Black takes here. We recapture. Bishop d5. And maybe now something like knight at d4, hitting this pawn over here is quite pleasant, but Black is still fairly solid after a move like c6, because this bishop guards the c6 pawn, also always guards f7. So, not easy. Oh, but actually, as we speak, Hikaru has traded on e5, Levon has recaptured. Alright, so now let's see what he's gonna do. Lots of options here for white. Which one
Oh,
is he?
actually, I really like queen d4 idea.
Aha, queen e4. I like that move as well, because after either capture, that should turn out in white's favor. I mean, if black takes on d4, we capture with the knight and get okay. Actually, he's traded on e5, and now queen d4, also a good option. So if Levon decides to trade, this is really in Hikaru's favor. This pawn is awkward to protect. This is flying in, so that's really good. If Levon, so if he goes rook e8, we can always trade and go here, and that pretty much wins for white, I think. So
Yeah, you win the
Levon...
pawn, and the bishop cannot leave that diagonal because of back rank issues.
Right. So let's see where Levon is gonna go. Could also move the queen to, let's say...
So like queen g5, right, is one of the options. But then queen c5, and he still has to trade.
Right, yeah, he can trade. And then I guess bishop d5. Once again, this move to try and solidify, but white should definitely still be better. So let's see what Levon is gonna do here. I think trading on d4 would be a big mistake. I think, like I said, queen g5 is the way to go. But either way, the endgames are very pleasant for Hikaru.
If queen e2, Hikaru can always play queen f2.
Right, yeah, there's always queen f2, maybe also queen c3 or queen c5, hitting the pawn and defending the pawn on c2.
Yeah, the white queen is very powerful on the dark squares since there is no bishop to guard it, and the knight on the other hand can of course jump to any square. So I feel like knight is dominating here over the bishop on b7.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, the knight is much better here than the bishop, especially since this pawn on b5 is on a light square, so it's really opening up all these squares for the knight, and the bishop is always a bit blunted, doesn't have any targets. So I really like the current situation. What are the clock times? I can't tell.
Can we see on the live feed?
They're back now. So Hikaru has a little under 8 minutes. Levon has 8.5. So that's, I mean, time is evening up. So things are looking good for Hikaru. Once again, yeah, like you said, I think Levon has to go queen g5. But let's see whether he will go further or not.
Yeah, Hikaru seems happy. The time, yeah, just 10 seconds difference currently, and Levon's time is running. So yeah, great situation to be in. What do you think?
Yeah, it's looking great for Hikaru. People were saying like, okay, we had plus 1.8 or whatever. But guys, this is rapid chess. You will see mistakes from both sides. And given the fact that Hikaru has a much better position is very good for him. So no reason to complain at all. And queen g5 has been played by Levon. So I guess here queen c5 is what Hikaru should do, right? I guess Levon will trade the queens and go bishop to d5. And then I'm curious to see how Hikaru will proceed from there. I mean, once again, the pawns, especially the pawns on the queen side, are always very vulnerable.
The questions about format, let's answer that again. They will play at least 2 rapid games today, both 15+10, so they switch colors after this game. If the match is tied, then they play the blitz match. Again, 2 games, 3+2, and if that is tied, then it is Armageddon. So quite a treat for today.
Indeed, yeah. And we saw the trade just happen on c5, and Levon played bishop to d5. Rook a7 by Hikaru. Okay, Levon's gonna go c6 now. You have to try and defend everything. c6 has just been played. Alright, so how should he go about attacking this pawn over here? Maybe he can go knight a6 to b4. He's also putting pressure on the... Okay, he goes knight d3. I guess with the same idea. Knight can come to e5 or to b4. So it's looking very promising for him. Let's see what Levon is gonna do here. Yeah, maybe move like g6, make sure the king can go up, make sure, and he also can never get back and checkmate it.
Yeah, he could play something like rook c8 to just cover c7 square. Otherwise, rook c7 and knight e5 is sort of a threat.
Yeah.
Of course, he can also play rook e8 and guard that, but then knights can come from b4.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, knight b4 is quite annoying either way for black, because you don't want to allow the knight to take on d5 and separate the pawns.
Indeed, yeah. You don't want to allow that
But
for
he
sure.
cannot stop that.
Yeah, true. So indeed, knight b4 cannot be stopped, and then the pawns could be separated, and Levon will always have to defend. And I mean, given the fact that it's a rapid game, both players do not have a lot of time. And defending worse positions in classical is already not a lot of fun, but defending them in a rapid game can be very, very tough, where the time is very limited. You only have a 10-second increment. So, I mean, people were saying like draw, 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 but good luck defending this against Hikaru in a rapid game. So I think he has very good chances to win. G6 played by Levon. So what do you think Hikaru should do here?
And also note, chat, that it's really easy to play here with white. Really easy. Hikaru has very obvious plans, a lot of options, and for Levon to defend all the attacks is very difficult, and in the time scramble, it's only Hikaru who can win.
Indeed, yeah. So now he has a pleasant choice. He can play someone like king f2, improving the king a little bit, or someone like knight b4, hitting the bishop. The annoying thing for black is that he can never move the bishop, because then he will hang this pawn here. And I can always come back to d4 to defend everything. So I guess Levon just wants to move the king up in that case, and I think it's very likely that we'll get into an end game like something like this, right? Where white gets an extra pawn, but black trades off the pawns on the queen side, and probably should be able to draw this, even though it's not a lot of fun. But I think Levon should go for something like this. So let's see what is gonna happen.
The other option which I like is to play knight b4. Rook has to defend from c8, otherwise rook c7 is coming. And then we can play rook a6 and then bring the king. What do you think about bringing the king all the way to c5?
Yeah, no, that's definitely also a nice plan, moving the king all the way up here, because it targets the pawns. And yeah, I really like that plan as well. The only drawback could be that if we move the king up, maybe black is going to go for some very quick counterplay with rook e8 to e2. But let's see, we see that Hikaru is just a little under 6 minutes, Levon has 6.5. So I'm very curious to see what he is gonna come up with.
Yeah, see. Yeah, rook c7 was made, right? No. Yes.
Yeah, rook c7 was played. I kind of like this move because he's making sure that Levon can never put his rook here. Levon could go rook a8, but if we go knight b4, rook to a1 is not an option. Black could play something like rook a1, king maybe h2, and then after rook b1 we always have b3, and the pawn on c2 is always guarded, and we can take on, let's say, c6 or d5 whenever we want to. I guess Levon should sit with a move like rook to b2. However, it is definitely not an easy position for Levon. So let's see what he's gonna do here. I really like rook c7 by Hikaru. Rook a8 has just been played. So what do you expect?
Maybe now knight b4? Oh,
Yeah,
he
knight
just did
b4
it.
play by Hikaru. I guess Levon has to activate the rook with rook a1. Then after king h2, maybe rook c1. Because you always want to make sure to keep an eye out on the white pawns as well.
So maybe bring the king. Yeah, like king g7. King.
Yeah.
King probably has to go via f8. You cannot go king f6 due to a pin.
Right. Yeah. So let's see. The current time situation is that both players have around 5.5 minutes. Yeah, I think if check and here, Black cannot play king g7 right away because we take here, and it's really favorable for White to keep a 2 versus 1 majority, as opposed to a 1 versus 0 majority. Because then, let's say we get into a position like this, the black rook will always have to, let's make columns to illustrate. Let's say we get a position like this, right? White goes b4, black goes here, we go c3, and let's say we get something like this. This rook will always have to keep an eye on this pawn, and in the meantime we can walk our king over to defend this pawn over here, and then we can take the pawn on b5, and then all of a sudden we have a 2 versus 0 majority, and generally a 2 versus 0 majority gives White a winning advantage. But if it would come down to, let's say something like this happens, here Black has good chance to draw, because with a 1 versus 0 majority, it's generally a draw. So king g7 play. Wait, knight c6. I think knight c6 just winning for
He is
Hikaru.
going for rook a1, I guess.
So let's see.
That's
Rook a1. But how does this?
yeah.
Maybe he wants rook b1, but I mean rook b1 may just b3, because yeah, Hikaru
rook
has
b1,
taken the
b3.
pawn, and yeah, you guys are spamming the energy. That's what we need right now. Hikaru needs your energy. If he wins
Rook
this game, there'll be a
d8.
huge step. Rook d, huh?
What?
So he wants to sit like this, but I don't
He
buy
wants to
it.
try to cut out the king, but White can always bring the king like to e3 and then bring the rook down to c3 and rook d3.
Right, so let's say White goes b4, right? I guess Levon wants to go rook d2, keep an eye out on this pawn, and I guess c3, rook c2. Yeah, it's not, I mean, Hikaru does have great winning chances here. The problem is our king is stuck here, but I guess we can bring the king around like this. So something like king h2, king g3. Of course, the question will always be, how do we make progress? But I think his idea should be like, let's say black goes here, we go h4. Let's say black waits, we go, let's say rook c5, hitting this pawn here. King e7, and then, for example, king g3. And maybe we just go king f4. We don't care about this pawn because we take here. And once again, we get a 2 versus 1 majority. This is what we talked about earlier. And White should have a winning advantage.
Yeah. I mean, oh, did he play g4?
G4 played. Also fine move.
Thank you guys for your subs today. Very generous. Thank you.
Yeah. These guys for all the sports. So G4 played by Hikaru. I guess his idea is that if rook d2, he wants to walk the king over with king f1, the e1. And that should also give him very good winning chances.
Yeah, and of course, if you lose a pawn or even two on the king side, the queen side pawns will be just faster going for a queen.
Yeah, rook d2 played by Levon. So I guess b4 here by Hikaru. And then
Mhm.
king of pawn, king e1 next. So let's see what is gonna happen here. What is the current time situation? It seems like Hikaru has around 3 minutes. Levon has a little more than 4. Still hasn't moved yet.
But again, it's much easier to play here for white than for black.
For sure. And
H4.
h4. I'm not sure how I feel. I feel like these pawn pushes on this side of the board are a bit unnecessary. Also, now Levon could go b4 because we want to fix the pawns as far up the board as possible, so that if we take, our pawn is already on b4, as opposed to, let's say, if b4 and b3 happens, Levon goes h5. I don't know, because let's say this trade happens and black ever gets the h pawn, then he already has a passer. So let's see what Hikaru is gonna do here.
It's not a draw, come on. Maybe
Hikaru
against the
trades
computer
on
it is.
h5. Levon recaptures. Maybe rook c5. I guess if we go b4 now, we're too late, because black goes rook d4, hits both the pawns. So it's not easy. Maybe rook c5. What do you think here?
Yeah, or maybe, I don't know, maybe b4 now.
Right, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Hikaru can hit both pawns on h5 and b5, but losing the pawn on c2 will be making it closer to a draw.
Goes b4, but rook d4 now? Wait, but okay, so rook d4, there's c3. Black takes on rook c5. Wait, but the problem is we don't really threaten to take. Black could go king of 6. And if we take, there's rook c4. So
And the king is in the box, yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think rook d4 should be holding for Levon here. But let's see whether he will go for it. Of course, even that position isn't an easy draw, because let's say rook d4, we go c3. Yeah. It's not that easy still for Levon. But yeah, there were definitely better ways to play for Hikaru. But let's see whether Levon will go rook to d4. Rook d1 or... I mean, you can move the king up. You could also play a move like f6, so then you could go king g6 on the next move. But yeah, let's see.
Well, rook d5 seems... rook d4 seems logical.
Right. So I guess after rook d4, Hikaru wants to go c3. The rook will capture, rook c5. King f6.
Yeah, it's better
Maybe
to keep the 2 pawns on queen side.
And then maybe king g2 to go king g3. But I don't know, maybe Levon is just in time to hold there. But let's see what he's gonna do.
It's still playing only for 2 results.
True,
so...
yeah, Hikaru can never lose indeed. Yeah, I think that the line for Levon should be rook d4 takes. He takes, I guess, rook c5, maybe king of 6, king g2 and rook f4. Because if white takes, there's rook c4, and if king g3, rook f5, black's just in time. But let's see whether he will go for that. If white gets a move, if white goes c3 and then rook c5, white definitely still has a lot of winning chances. But I don't know, I feel like Levon should be able to draw now. This is the first game, you guys, yeah.
First game, and even if it's a draw, the game is going all under Hikaru's advantage. So psychologically, it's definitely good going into the second game, even if this one is a draw.
Yeah, And Levon getting down to 2 minutes. I guess he is calculating this line rook to d4. Maybe he thinks like, okay, if I calculate this line correctly, I should be able to make the draw by force. So that's why he feels like it's justified to invest some time here. But I mean, the time situation could be tricky. Even if this endgame is a draw, with the only 10-second increment, anything can happen. So yeah, we'll see. He's getting down to 1.5 minutes. Hikaru still 2.5. Maybe he can still create some chances here. Monka, keep spamming that flower. What is gonna happen here?
Yeah, I mean, at some point you've got to make a move. There's still a lot of moves to be played.
True, yeah. Fun getting down to 1 minute. And what else could he be thinking about? Oh, rook d4 on the board. c3, rook takes h4. I think it's just a draw now. Because, yeah, if rook c5, there's king f6, king g2 and rook f4, and black's just in time. Although, with that being said, white can still take on h5, rook c4 and take on b5, black takes here. That's probably a draw, but white is still up a pawn. And with only, how much, 40 seconds for Levon, Hikaru can definitely still put a lot of pressure there. Monka, keep spamming that flower to give Hikaru power. He needs you guys more than ever right now.
Yeah, try the new emotes, guys.
Wait, what do you mean? Try the mods?
Try the new emotes. There are new emotes for spam this flower.
Spam this flower to give Hikaru power. Okay, so rook c5 probably is the move. King g2 also possible. Let's see what he's going to go for. Levon probably has to go for this idea with king f6 and rook f4. I wonder if he could go for, let's say, rook c5, king g6, and then king g2, rook f4. I guess that is also possible, because black is always just in time. If white takes rook c4, rook c5, take king f5, black is... Although white goes king up, king here, king h4, here, takes, take, king d4.
Not enough arrows. More.
Right, maybe that's
Give
still a
us more.
draw. So let's see. Right, okay, Hikaru's also got to go. Here's 1 minute and 40 seconds on the clock. Right, what else can he do? Of course, we want to keep the position on. We want to keep the live position on the board, so that's why. Okay, king g2 played by Hikaru, which basically comes down to the same thing. I guess rook f4 here for Levon. If rook f4, king g6, but it draws by 1 move, so it's not easy. Like we said, if white takes rook c4, rook c5, rook f4 played by Levon. Okay, rook c5 now. I guess black has 2 moves, king f6 and king g6, because you have to be able to make king g3 with rook to f5. But I think rook c5 is a critical move here for Hikaru. And then Levon has a decision to make. Hikaru just got below 1 minute. So king g2 on the board as we see. Levon down to 50 seconds. Which move do you expect after rook c5? King f6 or king g6?
I think king f6. I think stopping those pawns is more important than keeping the pawn on h5.
Yeah. Indeed. I was just thinking, like, let's say we go rook c5. Black could also go h4, but that might win by 1 move, because we take rook c4, trade, and then after king f6, we go king h3 and capture the pawn 1 move faster and go king g5, king f6, king g... No, but rook f5. It's just a draw, no?
Is it?
f4. I mean, maybe like f6 and king g. It should be a draw. Levon is just defending this pawn over here now. But let's see, maybe Hikaru can still create some chances with little time. Still Levon who has to be accurate here to make the draw.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
h4
It's still not
played.
easy.
Maybe we can take in king g5, but it definitely feels like Levon is the one who has to be accurate here. I guess we go king up, and then rook c5 quickly. Yeah, king g5 played by Hikaru. So let's see. Hikaru has 19 seconds. Levon 35. I guess rook f3,
So-
right? Keeping an eye on the
Yeah,
pawn
he
here.
hits the pawn on c3 and the king, maybe king g4,
Right. Yeah. You wanna.
but
be able
then
to-
maybe just rook d3 or something.
I guess rook d3. The one chance Hikaru has is to go rook c5, then walk the king over. But it feels like that should be taking too long. But I mean, you never know. So let's see.
Or the other option is rook f6. Oh, never mind, he didn't play that. He
rook
could have
d-
defended it from b6.
Right. So what happens now if Hikaru goes rook to c5? Right. If king f6, king f4. I mean, king e4, king d4. He's defending this pawn over here, then hitting the pawn on b5. This is not over just yet, you guys. Hikaru still has winning chances. Levon has to be very, very accurate here.
Yeah, I'm
One
not sure
Castillo.
why the valuation is so equal. It's definitely better for white.
Yeah, king f6, king f4 on the board. Once again, if king e6, king e4, rook h3, king d4, you are going to lose the pawn on d5, b5, I guess. So, not easy at all. And with little time on the clock, anything can happen. King e6, king e4 on the board. Okay, so he has to go rook h3. He has to keep contact with the pawn. Then we go king d4. Pawn on c3 is defended. Then we're going to capture on b5. And we get 2 pawns on the queen side. Levon has his passed f-pawn, but it's not very far advanced just far. So Hikaru definitely still has winning chances here. Rook d8. Wait, but isn't this just a free pawn? Wait, Hikaru takes it. Yeah, rook b5. Wait, isn't he just winning now? Wait, how is
He
this not
just gave up a pawn?
Yeah, but rook b1, but I mean, this should be winning for Hikaru. I mean, rook b6 or something and b5. Wait, I think this is just a win.
God, believers are now happy. Spam the flower.
Keep spamming that flower to give Hikaru power. b5 looks winning. We can always go rook c6 and c4, defending everything. Rook f6 also looks good, hitting the pawn. I guess if king e7, he wants to go like rook f3. This f-pawn is not going anywhere. And once again, we have the 2 connected passers on the queen side. And I think Hikaru's just going to win this game.
I'm not even sure if it was a blunder, to be honest. It's just very difficult to defend.
Yeah, so let's see. Rook f3, king e6. It's still not over though. Levon has this passed f-pawn. What should Hikaru do here? Maybe out of the after b5, there is f5. Okay, goes rook d3, f5, king d4. He's bringing his king over to the queen side. Rook to b1. Now he could go king c5, and then after f4 just start pushing. Goes rook e3, check. Okay, that is definitely a mouse slip. Rook e8 on the board. Of course, I think they should be winning because you are just gonna push the pawns.
I heard a hard stopping for a second there.
Right, yeah, no, of course
I
that
was
did
like,
not
what is
happen.
this?
Okay, do not go king e4. I guess he should be able to go, let's say, rook f8, king g5, and then go king c5. Because black pushes, but we push as well. Although f3, b6. It's very difficult, but we do push these pawns all the way up the board. And it feels like white should be faster there. Like, we give up the rook, but with the 2 pawns we should... Rook b8? Huh. But king f5? I feel like we're losing valuable time with this move. Still not over, you guys. Still not over. This, I mean, Levon has this f-pawn.
Should be winning.
I guess it should be winning, but it will remain complicated till the end. Okay, so Levon has to push his f-pawn up the board now. King f5, yeah. I guess we go for b5, but f3. This f-pawn is getting very far advanced, and we might have to give up our rook for the pawn. Then the question is, are we winning with the 2 pawns on the queen side? That is a big question.
So b5, f3, b6.
I get. Okay, so let's see. So b5, f3, b6.
f2 you cannot play because of rook.
Rook
Or
f8.
you
Although
can.
king moves back, we take. Black takes here. I guess white is winning there if we
Then,
go king
yeah.
c5. But it's difficult to evaluate because the king is then pretty far back. The clock times are not correct. He played b5, f3 by Levon. So let's see. I guess so. He could go check. Levon would have to go king g4. Wait, rook f8, king g4 is white in time there. So if c4, king g3, king c5, f2, b6 with black queens. I don't know, very difficult. Very, very difficult with little time. But I guess rook f8 is the move here. King e3 played, but rook b3 now? Wait, isn't rook b3 just a draw?
Looks like that. Yeah, the king is too close. Rook f6 probably should have been played.
King d3, but I mean, f2 now? No, this is just a draw. Because...
Yeah, Hikaru said had 5 seconds left on the clock when he made the move king e3.
Right, yeah. It seems like he was a bit hesitant. Like, he could have gone rook f8 right away and then just sort of go king up, push the pawns. And now it feels like he's sort of hanging. Like, you know, sort of hanging in between with the king. Like, he wants to keep stopping this pawn, but also in here, king g4 by Levon. So let's see what Hikaru is gonna do here.
Like king c4 or king c2 maybe. Yeah, king c2 is better, and then you can at least push b6.
Right, this is not over. So I guess Levon has to go rook a3, because if he goes f2, there's rook... Wait, but rook f...
This
rook
is
f8?
losing! But this is losing!
Wait. Yeah, rook f8
No,
by Hikaru. Wait, because if you take, and look at this king, it's all the way cut off. Wait, I think it's just over. Yeah, the king is too far cut off.
He's winning now.
Wait, so what should Levon do here? Because if you go rook b8, we go c4. I mean, once again, with the king so far cut off, I think Hikaru is just winning here. Yeah, I think this is just over, because the position is now simplified.
It's just now obvious that the king will never escape from there. The rook is just keeping it, and the king is gonna help the pawn to promote. It's over.
Yeah, rook c5, so king d3, and wait, we're seeing that.
Look at Hikaru. Look at Hikaru when he made this move, because this is a dab.
This is a dub indeed. So rook c5. So chess.com is showing that Levon has already resigned. Wait, did he flag? Wait, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, he flagged. So Hikaru wins the first game.
He did flag.
And takes the lead in the tiebreak. So a draw will be enough in the second game. Levon will have to strike back with the white pieces. A huge win for Hikaru. I mean, very up and down, but of course in a rapid game, anything can happen. So yeah, huge win for Hikaru.
Wow.
Right, so yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to explain the move king g4, to be honest. He was defending really well, but Hikaru kept putting pressure on Levon, and yeah, it's just hard to explain. Because it's not only you're losing the pawn on f2, that is not important, because you are trying to take the pawn of white back, but after rook f2 is just... there is no chance for king to escape.
Right, yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah, so huge win here for Hikaru, but maybe Levon had a draw, but of course with little time, and maybe he had to make some only moves. It's always extremely difficult, but yeah, huge win for Hikaru. Levon will have to come back now with the white pieces. But with all that being said and done, you guys, we are going to be taking a very short break. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back with game 2. See you guys.
See you soon.
Welcome back everyone to the final tiebreaks of the FIDE Grand Prix in Berlin. We're back. So Maria, what do you think of Hikaru's chances to win?
I think they are great. Obviously, winning the first game helps a lot. He put enough pressure for Levon to crack in the time scramble, and yeah, he just needs a draw. He just needs a draw to secure a win, to win the first leg of the Grand Prix, which puts him in really, really good chances to qualify for the candidates.
Right.
The players are back to the board.
And we're off. Sorry about that. I called it off early, but I forgot to unmute the Zoom. But the players are off in an Italian. So Rookie won by Levon. So he switches up the move order. What do you think of this? Like,
yeah. So we will see something similar maybe to yesterday's game.
Alright, so maybe Levon wants to go d4 in one go. Very curious what his idea is. So a6 d4. Wait,
Yeah,
but if black
he
goes
does it.
bishop a7, can white just take on e5 is what I'm wondering about. And just grab, although, like, let's say we go bishop a7, right, and white takes. My understanding is that, well, first of all, maybe white is, maybe black has knight at g4, but black can always take, I thought, and if this whole thing happens, just to illustrate real quick, if white takes, black goes rook f8, hits the bishop, comes to knight g4 very quickly, and black is still doing fine here. So after d4, bishop a7, h3 was played by Levon. So let's see what is going to happen here. I guess we just castle, right? And maybe white can claim an advantage with the big center.
Yeah, it's possible.
Right, so
So
castle
like
is not...
castle and just developing, bishop e3.
Right, yeah, castle was played. I guess bishop e3 makes sense, which was just played by Levon. I guess we cannot take the pawn on e4, because if we take,
Yeah, it
white
seems
probably
risky.
has d5, and the problem is our knight is under attack. Right, and if we move the knight, white suddenly trades, and then he can take the knight on e4. So I don't think we can take pawn on e4. But then the question is, what else do we do then?
Although you do have bishop e3 after d5.
Right, but bishop e3, rook takes. I mean, your knight is still under attack, this knight as well, so this looks very risky, especially Hikaru could go for something like takes here, and knight e7, and he has two pawns. I mean, with f5 coming, like, he has some compensation, but this is definitely not what you want to do in a game where a draw is enough. So he goes for something more solid with the move h6. I guess Levon is now going to keep developing with knight at d2. I guess this is what Hikaru wants to do. If Levon goes knight d2, I guess he wants to take, and then go d5. Force the straight. White has an isolated pawn, and black is still very solid here. So let's see what Levon is going to do after move h6. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess he will just play bishop g3. I don't know. This seems promising for Hikaru to hold. So far, white did not get any chances, any clear chances. Or maybe bishop b3 to play bishop c2 later. The move is maybe... Oh, bishop b3 was played.
Yeah, bishop b3 was
Now
played.
Hikaru can play rook e8.
Right, so rook e8 is an option. I guess Levon wants to go knight d2, and here the problem is, let's say we take now on d4 and go d5, we're not hitting this bishop here, so white can just go e5, and white is much better due to the space advantage. I guess we still cannot take, although if white goes d5 we take here, but Levon is still playing fairly fast, so he might still be in his preparation here, although I don't know, this could be an extra pawn, right? Although maybe white goes here, hitting the rook, and if the rook drops back, queen d3, and this checkmate is difficult to stop. So I don't know, tough to call what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, Levon might be still in his prep, or he might just be playing fast to throw Hikaru off and to make him believe that he is in a prep. We saw him playing quite fast in game 1, and he sacrificed a pawn and ended up in a worse position.
Right, yeah. So rook e8 on the board by Hikaru. I guess Levon should go knight d2 now to make sure the pawn on e4 is still protected. Let's pull them up here on the live feed. So knight d2 played by Levon. And I'm curious to see whether Levon is still in his preparation or not. I mean, he has spent some time. So maybe Hikaru was talking about this earlier yesterday. Maybe Levon wants to lure him into this line with taking on d4. On the other hand, it is a rapid game, right? Every minute counts here. So taking a minute here to try to trick your opponent, thinking you're not in prep, might not be a wise strategy. So I don't know whether Hikaru can or should take.
Tough to say. He can also go for development. Yes, bishop can only go to d7. He doesn't really have anything like b5. It's probably too weakening for the queen side.
Yeah.
So maybe just bishop d7 to finish the development. Although maybe b5 is an option.
Right, b5 also an option, putting the bishop on b7, maybe trying to pressure the center this way.
Mm-hmm.
Also definitely an option. Or bishop d7. The one drawback is that I guess here white can play bishop c2, making sure the pawn on e4 is always nicely protected. And then we don't really have a plan anymore. Right, like how are we going to increase the pressure on this pawn on e4? We also cannot play knight e7 to g6 because then we hang this. So, yeah, not an easy decision here.
B5, b5 is the idea, knight a5 and knight c4, something like this.
Right, or maybe, yeah. But that could be an option. Yeah, and then maybe knight a5. That makes sense. Bishop coming to c6. Indeed. And bishop d7 was actually played by Hikaru, but now I'm very curious to see how he would proceed after bishop c2, which just guards the pawn on e4. If black goes knight e7, then white can always take here, because the knight's no longer defending this. But let's see what... I guess bishop c2 for Levon here.
Yeah, bishop c2 makes sense. Also a4 to prevent b5. Also sometimes white first plays queen b1 and then bishop c2.
Right, so you're saying first a4 and then bishop c2?
Yeah, also this probably an option.
Right, yeah, I guess a4 is also a move. Of course, then white still has to calculate the sacrifice. So it goes queen b1. Huh. I thought he was just going to go bishop c2, but this move also protects the pawn on e4. Very interesting, did not see this one coming at all. This would give Hikaru the chance to go knight a5. Because he hits the bishop, white has to respond. Well, let's say bishop to c2. And now maybe c5, although this does block in his own bishop, but after d5, he could go b5, grab some space here. On the queen side, I think he's gonna go for this, because at least this gives him more clarity, so to speak. He could go c4 on the next move, and his knight could always come back through b7 and c5. But let's see.
I like this plan.
Yeah. Let's see whether he will go for it or not. And if the clock times are correct, it seems that Hikaru is under 12 minutes. Levon has 14 minutes on the clock, so Levon having a time advantage there, but Hikaru is known to be able to catch up very quickly if needed. What else could be planned here, you think?
The thing is, it's quite easy for white to make moves here. You know the position from playing it so many times. You just don't really need any move order. You just make logical moves. While for black, Hikaru will need to find a plan how to not to get into a position where he doesn't really have much to play with. Like he needs to free up his pieces, right? So like b5 is one of the plans, knight a5 is another, but he needs to come up with a plan here.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I personally kind of like knight a5, bishop c. Oh wait, let's see. Hikaru has moved. He's played queen e7, a3, and queen f8. Question is, could he take this pawn on d4 now? I mean,
it's probably a bit risky. Now the bishop can probably no. We hit the knight on d2.
right, but maybe white would have had here, but still.
Yeah, it's a bit risky. Like when you just need the draw to go for something like this is a bit Monka.
Right. That's a bit Monka as indeed if you only need a draw. So he goes queen f8. But now the question, I mean, once again, what is he gonna do here? Because I mean, the queen on f8, I honestly don't see how it's better than on d8. So I wonder what his plan is here. And Levon has moved. He's played queen to d3. Right. So don't see a plan here.
No,
It's not
chat.
easy.
Queen f8 is quite a normal move here. The queen is getting away from the rooks, so that he can play rook d8, and
Right.
yeah, it's also defending on f7. So far, the pieces are quite, yeah, it's not so much space for black. So getting the queen away from the d8 is normal plan here.
Right, yeah. So maybe he wants to bring the rook in, but actually I was just thinking, if we go rook 88, maybe white has to move d5, and black could just be lost here, because this knight is under attack. If we move the knight, we lose the bishop. And if we trade on e3 first, black takes here, and I think in the end we lose a piece, right? So this is all not possible. So, I mean, what else should Hikaru do then here?
Something more active. Maybe move the knight from c6, so that d5 doesn't come with a threat.
Right,
Knight
but then,
a5.
Alright, maybe knight a5, hitting the bishop. Bishop drops back, I guess here. We could go c5 again, maybe. But here, taking on e5 is a serious option, because... Oh, he has played b5. Okay, maybe with the same
b5
idea.
is also a move. You need to play something active.
Yeah. I guess he just wants to gain a little bit of space. Then maybe go knight a5, hitting the bishop, and c5, so he has already gained that space.
Yeah, note how queen from f8 also will be supporting c5.
True, yeah, indeed. That's also a nice point. So maybe what Levon could do here is move the bishop out of the way preemptively, so knight e5 doesn't come with a tempo. So let's say Hikaru would go knight e5 here, Levon could go b4 and then gain a tempo on the knight. So I don't quite see... I guess Levon is going to play a move like bishop a2, making sure that knight e5 is kind of out of the question. And then once again, it's difficult for Hikaru to make a move here.
Then Hikaru can play a5 maybe, because now that the bishop moved away from b3, queen b5 comes with rook b8 and hitting on b2. Since our knight is defended, I think it's could be a good counterplay.
Yeah.
Although playing something more solid probably is... he also has knight d4.
Right, there's also knight d4 hitting the queen.
Yeah, knight d4 is even better.
Right. So after b5,
so yeah,
taking
on b5 is not possible.
Was played by Levon. Knight a5, hitting the bishop. And I guess he's going to go c5 on the next move. I feel like white should be a bit better, but black is still very, very solid. And this is generally what Hikaru does when he only needs to draw. He's not going to take any risk. He's just going to play super solid. Maybe take a slightly worse position, but he is confident in his defending abilities here. So, where do you think Levon should go with the bishop?
Personally, I prefer bishop c2. Although, of course, it's a bit counterintuitive after you played rook c1, but at the same time, it hits on h7. So, yeah, I don't know.
Indeed, yeah, if this diagonal would ever open up, that would be very dangerous because white always has checkmating ideas. Bishop a2 was played and c5. Now the nice thing for Hikaru is that if, you know, d5 ever happens and black goes c4, and suddenly this bishop is completely out of the game. So I'm starting to get a bit more optimistic about his chances. At least he has more of a clear plan here, right? He could always go c4, shutting out this bishop. And white has a decision to make. d5 is an option. He could also trade. Which one do you think he's going to go for?
I think he would go for a trade because closing up the position is not in Levon's interest here.
True.
Would the match situation be even right now? He probably would have played d5 and tried to just capitalize on a little advantage of more space, but closing the position when you need to win on demand probably is not going to happen.
Indeed, because if he goes d5, he might have more space, but there's always the risk of the position completely closing up, and then you cannot win a game anymore. So you don't really want to do that in a must-win situation. So I think
Yeah,
it is
reminds
more.
that game of Hikaru against Richard or Port, the last game where it was just all completely blocked.
True, yeah. So Levon definitely wants to avoid something like that. So yeah, he can take on e5, d5, also an option. He could also decide to keep the tension in the center, but then question is what move does he make, right? Like what is a useful waiting move? Get b3, that answers our question. I guess the point behind b3 is that it stops c4. So what do you think Hikaru should what would be sensible moves here for Hikaru in the current position?
Well, he can also just go back with the knight because d5 is not really a threat anymore, since this diagonal is closed by the pawn. This pawn structure of white is quite ugly on the queen side.
Yeah. These pawns are always a little bit loose, especially this pawn on a3. If something like takes d5 would happen in the distant future, black could hit this pawn. It's of course at the moment not realistic, so Hikaru could also play a move like rook a8 to bring the rook into the game,
Yeah.
or the move knight c6 as you mentioned. I think that's also a very sensible move. And we have
I mean,
that
he can even play knight to b7 if he wants to.
True, yeah, just keeping the position, just waiting for Levon to make a decision. I guess if Hikaru would go knight c6 and d5 would happen, I guess we go back to e7, maneuver the knight around the g6. And once again, the position is very solid. Levon has around 12 minutes, Hikaru around 9, so that is slightly concerning, but nothing too bad just yet.
Yeah, most important here is to get enough play. And he is on the way with all the advancing pawns on the queen side.
Indeed.
So yeah, either knight c6 or rook c8, or maybe he can trade on d4 first, trade the c pawn, and then play the same.
Right, putting pressure on the center and making sure that this bishop is opened up. I like that suggestion as well. Let's see. I mean, he's getting close to 8 minutes, so he's got to go at some point. I think maybe knight c6, rook c8 all make a lot of sense. But yeah, he's got to go here.
And if cd4, knight c6, d5 is not a threat anymore, right? We take on f2, maybe? No. Does it work here?
I
Or
guess
we just
d5...
move the knight. All right, our rook is on a8. Yeah, so we just move the knight.
Indeed. But as we speak, knight c6 by Hikaru has just been played.
He wants to keep more pressure.
d5 by
wow,
Levon.
d5 immediately.
Knight e7 and
Levon
c4.
is closing position.
Indeed. Yeah, so interesting position here. What Hikaru could do is maybe go g5 then knight g6. Because then he could also use his g pawn to create counterplay on the king side. I kind of like that idea. It's sort of in his king's... He played knight g6 right away, a bit more solid. Yeah, also very possible. But now it will be a bit more difficult to create counterplay on the king side. People are asking, can Levon go for the dirty flag? No, you cannot, because there's a 10-second increment. Of course, you can still flag, as we saw in the last game, but you cannot give up all your pieces, so to speak, and then try to flag your opponent with one pawn, because once again of the 10-second increment. So yeah.
Well, yeah. If anyone will flag, it's Levon, and Hikaru will need a shower after the game, right?
Right. Yeah. So knight g6 played by Hikaru, b4 by Levon, breaking open the queen side. How do you think he should deal with this? I mean, he attacks the c pawn, so maybe Hikaru can just keep the tension with a move like rook to c8, because the traits, I feel, should favor him. Right? So I guess you don't really trade any of these pawns, but just keep the tension, is what I would think. Guys, stop yelling blunder. So what do you think Hikaru's gonna do here?
Just bring the rook, maybe. Oh wait, did he capture on b4?
Captured on b4 also makes sense. Yeah, I mean, maybe Levon is a little bit better. He has a bit more space, but Hikaru is still extremely solid in the current position. However, you have to be careful not to allow c5. So Hikaru traded on c4, Levon recaptured. Now he's pressuring upon a6 though. But maybe we just go rook eb8 and hit the pawn on b4. Because we don't really mind trading
Makes
the a
sense.
pawn for the b pawn. Or trade on e3 first. But anyway, I think Hikaru is extremely solid here. And he can be quite satisfied about the current position. He traded on e3. How? I mean, maybe think with the queen,
And
I
then
guess.
can bring the rook to b8.
Indeed, yeah. So, yeah, maybe Levon is still a little bit better, as we said, but Hikaru is still extremely solid now.
And he's also first to attack the pawn on b4, whether the white takes with the queen or rook. To be honest, I'm not sure why Levon is even thinking, because taking with the rook just happened. Okay.
Right, so
I
guess
did not
rook-
expect that move because, yeah, I guess he just wants to double the rooks in fancy way.
Right, yeah. So rook takes e3, rook eb8 by
This-
Hikaru, hitting the pawn on b4, queen a3 by Levon to defend the pawn. Maybe now we bring the queen over, like queen d8 to b6 or something.
Yeah, the thing is, defending b4 with the rook was not really good here, because you sometimes get hit by a5. Well, right now the knight was defending on b1, but still,
Yep.
he needs to
this-
double the rooks first.
Right. So yeah, Hikaru has a lot of options here. He could also go bishop b5 if he wants to be very solid. But this kind of, if he goes queen to d8, he wants to go queen b6. Levon going bishop f1. He wants to free up the c4 square for his knight. Bishop b5 played by Hikaru, very solid. So now, what should Levon do? If Hikaru can go a5, he simplifies the position even more. I guess that should be in his favor. So yeah, Hikaru currently has 6.5 minutes on the clock. Levon 9.5. That's still definitely in Levon's favor, but Hikaru is catching up here.
Yeah, and I actually like the pawn on a6. It kind of solidifies the queen side with the bishop there, keeping the tension. Maybe knight c4 for white is a move. Hikaru
yeah.
might need to bring the knight back from g6 just to defend the queen side.
Indeed. And keep in mind, you guys,
Yeah,
that
knight
Hikaru
f4,
he won the first game with a white piece, so a draw is enough to win the match and to win the tiebreak. If he would win this, Grand Prix, there'll be a huge step towards qualifying for the candidates tournament. So keep spamming your energy, you guys. He needs you more than ever to win this Grand Prix. There we see the flowers coming in. So, but what do you think in the current position? What should Levon do here?
I like knight c4, but
Yeah,
he
knight
could not do it.
c4 makes sense. It stops a5 for now. I guess Hikaru wants to trade on c4. Then Levon maybe recaptures. He still has pressure here. And a5 can be met with b5. So that's probably what he should do. So I guess in this position, Hikaru should do something else. I mean, maybe queen b6. And his position is still extremely solid. I mean, the pawn on b4 is always under attack. So I'm not too worried here about his position. And Levon is thinking in the current position. And they're also
Yeah, I guess they are now getting this maybe almost equal on time. Okay, it's just like 1.5 minutes difference. He
queen
played
a5 played by Levon. Huh. So I guess his idea is that if Hikaru trades, he gets this pawn on a5. Instead of that, Hikaru trades on f1. I like that option much more. He could go rook b5 now and force Levon to trade. Levon could also trade right away, but let's see what he's gonna do. I think, okay, Levon trades on d8, Hikaru recaptures. Now he has to take the bishop, right, which is what he does. So what do you think Hikaru should
And
do?
Hikaru can bring
here?
the rook back.
Yeah, I guess we just go rook db8, hit the pawn on b4. And if Levon goes knight c4, we just always go knight e8. Defend this. We still have pressure here. Maybe f5 in some cases to shake up the center. And I think it's looking better and better for Hikaru. Also, the time situation is getting better. He's only down a minute or like 1.5 minutes, so definitely looking very good for Hikaru here.
Yeah, and Levon really needs to spice things up right now, because right now it looks like Black has everything under control. So how to play for a win here?
I don't know. And also, guys, just to remind you, make sure to throw in your Prime to get Levon low on time. It's proven time and time again that it works. So if you have Amazon Prime, make sure it's connected to your Twitch Prime. That way you can subscribe every month to one channel for free. So make sure to throw it in. So after Rook DB8, Rook B3 was played by Levon right away. Maybe A5 here, although that allows B5. But then we have A4. Question is, whose passed pawn is more dangerous? Because although after A5, there's also BA. And you get the pawn on E4, but the question is, do you want to deal with this in a game where a draw is enough? Right? Because you imbalance the position.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, this imbalance is probably in Black's order. Well, yeah. Favor.
Right. So...
thank you for your Prime.
thanks everyone for throwing in their Prime. So if he does not play A5, what else could be an option then here?
He can bring the king to defend D6.
True, yeah. That is also an option. He could also maybe start moving
Knight
in
is-
his...
Yeah, like knight e7 to cover c6. But then rook c7 comes with attack, but then he can play king f8.
True, yeah. So let's see what he's gonna do here. He has made a move. He's played the move rook b5, okay. Guess he wants to double up and hit this. There's still, of course, knight e8 if he wants to defend. I mean, maybe he's slightly worse here, but Hikaru is extremely tough to beat, even in worse positions. So he will just try to be as solid as possible here. Knight e1 played by Levon. He wants to move his knight around. Now he could play a5 and he would force the trade. However,
Although
if he goes
has
a5,
rook a1 then. Yeah.
there's rook a1 indeed, yeah, which is tricky. Although we go rook b8.
Yeah.
And if white takes, we take. Once again, more trades are better for us. Right.
We also
so
have
there's
knight e4 here.
That
Actually.
is a very nice tactic indeed.
Yeah,
if
and
white
this
takes-
knight on d2 is overloaded.
We have this in between tactic, and if white takes here, now we take, and then take the rook after. So, let's see what I like. A5. It simplifies the position, and that's what you want in a game where a draw is a very good result.
Hikaru's specialty is not bullet, it's blitz. Interesting. I think Hikaru's specialty is any online format and time control.
Right, yeah. 98 played in the meantime. So with 98 he brings the possibility of f5 in the position. But I don't know. I guess he just wants to sit very solid with 98 and 97, and then it will be very difficult for white to break. I think, yeah, like you said, Hikaru, he's very good in both blitz and bullet. He was for a very long time really the king of bullet chess as well. Right now, other players such as Narodetsky are also definitely up there. But in blitz, in my mind, there's no doubt that Hikaru is the best player in the world in online blitz. So yeah. But f5, I guess f3 here by Levon, strengthening the center, because otherwise things get too loose, right?
Yeah, I guess he has to play f3 now.
Right, just strengthen the center. We see a trade on e4. Levon recaptures. Maybe now it's time to bring the knight back. You could go knight f6. It feels like he should be able to draw this, but it's not easy. Levon is definitely still a bit better. His knight on d3 is always defending everything. Knight on d2 as well. Let's see what he's gonna do here. He goes knight f4, going for the trade.
Yeah, knight f4 is very nice move.
Right.
Although,
so I guess
allowing white to get control over e4 square, to put the knight there, I'm not sure.
Right.
If I like that.
I guess Levon has to trade, then maybe bring the king. The pawn at f4 could be a target, but it can always be defended by the move g5. So I don't know.
You can
At least
also
he
bring
gets
the king.
indeed. At least he gets more pieces off the board. King e2 played by Levon. Hikaru's still like 1.5 minutes down on the clock. He has to catch up at some point. So what do you think he should do here after this move, King e2? b8 played.
I was thinking a5, but rook b8 and then a5 is also a move, unless white will stop that.
So I guess Levon just has to go rook cb1 now, defending the pawn on b4. He cannot allow any further simplifications. Because if you go rook c4, you allow to move a5. So at least with rook cb1,
You could also
defend the
play rook a1 and attack on a6. But that also trades more pieces.
Right, and that's definitely in Hikaru's favor. So I think for that reason he has to go rook cb1 and keep the tension. But that would give Hikaru the time to go, let's say, knight f6, maybe knight at d7 and to e5. So Levon does go rook to b1. So let's see, maybe now it's time to bring up the king f7 to e7 maybe, or knight f6. I feel like Hikaru should be able to draw this, so let's say we go knight f6 here, right? What is Levon gonna do?
I don't know, maybe king f3?
King f3,
Then
I guess
g5?
then g5. It is looking extremely solid. These rooks here are stuck defending this pawn over here. Maybe you have the option of going knight c4 and hitting this pawn. That would make sense. But it feels like... yeah, that is not that easy. Like knight f6, king f3, g5, knight c4. There's definitely some problems there. But let's see what he is going to do. Hikaru has 4.5 minutes. Levon 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Monka,
Yeah, white definitely has a lot of options and chances to play for win.
Knight f6 played by Hikaru. Levon could also go with the king this way. So let's see, if he goes king f3, g5, knight c4, maybe we just go back. Because the rooks still are stuck defending this pawn. It's still extremely solid for Hikaru. If he brings his king up, then he can move the knight again. So king f3 played by Levon, hitting the pawn.
I was thinking the white king can also consider going to c3, maybe to defend the pawn on b4 and then play rook a1. Although it's a very long shot, plus there always is rook c8. And he cannot play knight c4 due to knight takes e4. So, not sure. He could play to, I don't know, king.
Right, so king f3 hitting the pawn. I guess Hikaru has to play g5 to defend the pawn. And then knight c4 makes sense for Levon, hitting this. Okay, so g5 by Hikaru on the board. Knight c4, knight e8, defending the pawn on d6. Maybe indeed, as you mentioned, now Levon should bring the king around, so then he can start moving the rooks. Tough position here. Hikaru down to 3 minutes. Levon still has 5 minutes and 40 seconds. But it's
But
still
if Levon does that, Hikaru can play king f7, e7, defend on d6, and then play knight f6 and attack on e4. So the king won't be able to step away.
True, yeah. So let's see. I guess Levon has to bring his king around. Maybe all the way over to c3. But it's not easy to make a move here for white. Because Hikaru's moves are pretty straightforward, I guess. First of all, he always has to move rook c8 to hit the knight. But also something like king f7 to e7. Making sure the pawn on d6 is guarded, so then he can move his knight again. And h4 has been played by Levon, huh? So what about just king f7?
Oh,
Okay, rook
he
c8.
needs to spice things up.
Alright, so rook c8 played by Hikaru, hitting the knight. I'm starting to like his chances now. Because now the rook gets into the game. If you go knight a5, I guess we go... There's always ideas of knight f6, rook c2, and all of a sudden
And the king is stuck protecting this pawn.
Indeed, all of a sudden a mating net could arise around the white king. So let's see how Levon is going to address the threat on the knight. I mean, you don't want to get yourself into a pin. So I really like Hikaru's chances now. 3.5 minutes compared to Levon's 5. Levon played knight at a5.
Knight f5, yeah. Maybe knight f6 now.
Knight f6, but knight f6 there's knight c6, I guess. But then we always have... Wait, but then rook e8, and white doesn't have a good way of dealing with this threat. What about there's knight d4?
Knight d4, yeah.
Tough position. Let's see what he's gonna do. I think something like rook c2 also makes sense. Although then you can always get forked. So knight f6 was played. Hg, hg. I guess knight c6 now for Levon, shutting down this rook on c8. But the more pieces come off, the better for Hikaru. The position is simple. Okay, so knight c6, rook e8 on the board, and knight d4 by Levon, hitting the rook. Maybe we just move the rook back. Oh, he has g4. Wait, g4 is very nice. Because if you take rook e4 is instantly a draw, king f2 and knight e4. I think g4, yeah, g4 played. He's gonna win. Yep, it's all over. It's all over, you guys. Hikaru is gonna win the FIDE Grand Prix.
Well, not to win the game. The game probably will end in a draw.
But I don't think he can lose this one. g4. I mean, where are you
No,
gonna go? If you go
no.
king f2,
That
knight
was
e4.
definitely a blunder.
Right. Knight e4 comes with a check. If you go to e2, rook e4 comes with a check. And if you take down rook e4, you trade up the knight. So king takes e4 played by Levon, rook takes e4, hitting the king and the knight. So Levon now has to go king f5, only move, which is what he does. Hikaru is now going to take, I guess. And after white takes here, white has a lot of compensation, but black is up a pawn, so he should not lose this one. But, of course, it's not over until it's over. So I guess we take on d4 here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, draw is enough, so trading the knights, trading pair of rooks, and it's a draw.
Indeed, yeah. So, king f5 by Levon. So let's see how Hikaru will try to close this one out. He takes on d4, Levon takes on f6, rook d takes d5, all very, very solid. And like we said, he's up a pawn in a game where he only needs to draw. So once again, you guys, if he draws this game, he wins the FIDE Grand Prix in Berlin, and there'll be a huge step towards qualification towards the candidates tournament. So keep spamming in your energy, you guys. We're not there just yet, but it's starting to look better and better.
Yeah, certainly. Great chances. Honestly, I cannot see how Levon can create any chances to play for a win here.
Right, the
If he
only way
tries
is
pushing, he only can lose.
Indeed, if somehow he could get the rooks involved and maybe create a checkmate around the black king, but it feels very unrealistic. Hikaru should be completely fine here. He should be on his way to at least draw the game and win the Grand Prix. But let's see what Levon is going to try to do here.
Well, white has to bring the rook somewhere, otherwise it's a perpetual check coming.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
almost. He has, of course, the pawn on d6, which he can defend.
Indeed, yeah. But maybe Hikaru, he wants... I mean, a perpetual would win him the entire Grand Prix, so that'd be a good result, of course. So if he can take one, he will definitely take it. So let's see what Levon is even going to try here. I mean, maybe rook a3. Although rook a3, there goes a5. So he goes rook f1, trying to keep the game going somehow. And there are still checkmating ideas.
For black as well. Rook h5, threatening with rook h6.
True, but the king can still go to e7. Okay, rook h5 played by Hikaru. Nice move. I guess indeed he just wants to give a check, then maybe give another check. And we'll see. So let's see what Levon is going to do here. King on f6 is also kind of trapped. Hikaru now up half a minute on the clock, so that is also a good sign. I think, wait, actually I was thinking, if Levon makes a random move, like let's say he goes rook a3, all of a sudden there could be rook e5. And this king is stuck, because we threaten checkmate. The king could go here, but now we're just happy to go for a repetition. So rook e5 is sort of a threat. Let's see how Levon is going to try to address it. Let's see, Levon getting down to 2.5 minutes. Maybe he just has to walk with the king here. Like king e6, king there to try to keep the game going. But it feels like there's no way he can get more than a draw here.
Yeah. I mean, if he takes a pawn, it's only a chance to get checkmated. Right now, he can at least hide the king behind the pawn. But if he takes on d6, Hikaru probably will have a checkmate. Or a forced trade of rooks, and it's also a draw.
Right, and yeah, so let's see what Levon is gonna do here.
So chat is asking why a draw is a win. A draw is a win in the match because the first game was won by Hikaru. So Hikaru is gonna win the final of the first edition of Grand Prix.
Indeed, yeah. The tiebreaks also do count for the rapid rating, you guys, just to make that clear. So he will move up the rapid standings even a little bit more, but that's probably just a detail. Levon has moved in the meantime. He's played rook to f4. Okay, rook h6 now, king e7, rook b7, king d8. Wait, but what about rook h8? You're trying to go for the ladder. Wait, rook
yeah,
h8?
it's a checkmate.
Because of king c8? Yeah, rook h8
Yeah, he
on
played
the board
rook
is...
h8.
He can go for a king move checkmate. How cool is that? Winning
It's
the
a
Grand Prix with a king
checkmate.
move checkmate.
So
Right.
now only move rook e3 or rook e4.
But rook
to
e3 you
defend
lose
the
the
king.
rook, because then
But
check
then
and
rook,
check.
but then rook b8 and he wins the rook. Yeah,
Indeed, yeah. So and if king c8, we just move a rook out of the way, and
yeah.
all the
Puzzle
problems
rush.
remain.
Puzzle rush. The resignation is coming.
Yeah. So Hikaru is gonna win the very first leg of the FIDE Grand Prix here in Berlin. But let's just wait for the resignation to come in. This is huge, you guys. This is huge first chance to qualify for the candidates. And Levon has resigned. Hikaru wins the first leg of the
Yay,
FIDE Grand Prix
poggers.
in Berlin. He grabs those full 13 points, and once again, a huge step towards qualification of the candidates tournament. So huge congratulations to Hikaru. Let's hope we can have him for an interview shortly.
And of course, Hikaru would have been happy with the draw as well. It's just that Levon had to try to create some chances. He had to try to push for a win. And yeah, Hikaru had everything under control. So it's
Right.
over.
And there we saw the resignation, and the players are discussing. Cutie Jelly, thanks for the 20 gifted. Thanks for all the energy. I don't know exactly what they are
Thank you,
discussing,
guys.
but
Also, Koronobi, thank you for the 5 gifted.
thanks guys for all the energy. That's really what kept Hikaru going. So a huge win after more than 2 years of not playing classical chess. A lot of people did not, a lot of haters did not expect this, but he gets a huge dub here. So yeah, he will now have to do well in the third leg, and then he will qualify to the candidates.
Yeah, send your energy, chat. Love you, chat. We wouldn't have done this without you. And yeah, Hikaru actually did look into the camera at some point when he was already in a nearly winning match situation.
Right.
So
yeah.
he knows you're there.
Indeed, of course. And I wonder what they were discussing, but I guess they will be up for an interview shortly. As you see, they're all getting ready there. So do not go anywhere, you guys. Hikaru and Levon will probably share their thoughts soon about how they felt about this match today. But once again, a huge win for Hikaru.
Yeah, just a streamer. Just winning Grand Prix casually.
Indeed, yeah. You guys did this. You guys did this. You guys kept spamming your energy. You gave him the strength to win this FIDE Grand Prix. So you can pat yourself on the back.
So thank you for that hype train.
Indeed, of course, Hikaru also saw the
Looks
hype
like
train,
they're
including the
already
energy.
demolishing something.
Wait, what?
I already see Satiris removing the setup on the stage.
Oh.
That is very efficient. The board is going away. Wow.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we have to
That's,
wrap up
that's-
here. We have a prizing, we have a prize ceremony to start soon. I guess they will be up for an interview shortly, but after yesterday's game, we saw them getting in front of the camera here. So I wonder what's going to happen.
they didn't. They had some problems switching the live feed of the interview yesterday. I hope they fix it.
Right. Yeah. Their interview was up on their YouTube later.
Oh
but,
yes,
not
microwave
live.
time, Benjamin.
Well,
Use your microwave ready.
maybe it depends on whether Hikaru would want that or not. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Thank you, Irul, for the 5 gifted. And we have,
Yeah.
wow, we completed level 5 hype train. Amazing, you guys. So
Yeah.
much love.
Support has been insane from you guys, and they gave him the strength. So once again, let's hope they will be up for an interview shortly. And yeah, huge one for Hikaru. I'm not scamming you guys. I'm not scamming you guys. But keep in mind that this is Hikaru's stream. Like, I don't know if he would want the microwave to turn on. So we'll just have to yeah.
So, yeah, when chess is over, the commentators start talking about plans, apparently. On the live feed, you see
dinner
this?
plans or what
No,
kind of plans are you talking about?
Plants.
Oh,
like
plants. Oh, but Miro does have a nice plant here.
Well, the
Definitely
thing
was-
is, Jessie also has a plant, but she is streaming from home. But they have exactly the same plant. So solve that puzzle, guys.
True. Yeah.
Plant versus microwave. Well, we all know who will win, right?
No, nothing can beat the microwave, of course.
No, nothing. Full Steve, thank you for gifting a sub, and Darcidius also thank you for gifting a sub to the community.
Oh, and we have an
and
interview here.
Congratulations for the win, a really dramatic and exciting tiebreak. Could you take us through the first game, please? This end game where you were better, then it was a draw, and you're better again. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I got this great position where I was up a pawn. I mean, for whatever reason, I played g4, h4, and basically I just forgot that Levon could take h4, and then after rook b5, there's this rook c4, rook c5 just is a draw. I basically forgot about this completely. Yeah, I mean, this game obviously set the tone for the second game. Certainly, I think. I mean, just tricky end game. I mean, when all's said and done, but you know, I found a way to win it, and obviously that was very important because the second game would have been completely different otherwise.
Of course. Levon, after losing such a dramatic game, you had 15 minutes to recover your focus, your willpower. How were you able to do that? Could you explain to us, to the fans? At least it seemed that you were doing quite well in the second game for a lot of time.
Yeah, I was doing well, but then yeah, I think at some point I should have just played some bishop a2, and then black doesn't have any play. And then I had a slightly better position throughout the game, but it's difficult to convert because there's always this activity. And yeah, somehow it slowly evaporated into a drawn position. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think my opening in the second game was pretty good, but then I took some inaccurate decisions.
Hikaru, you're streaming every day, playing 20, 30, 40 games sometimes. Do you think playing so many blitz and rapid games online every day sharpens your skills for this type of tiebreak?
Yeah, I mean, I think all these events, I mean, the ones that I played in Magnus, Levon, and so forth, I mean, they're all good. But obviously, playing every day, I think, keeps you sharper. I mean, the question is whether you can still play the openings reasonably well or not. I mean, that's sort of the sacrifice you make when you play. But I think in terms of just practically speaking, I mean, I've played more than anybody over the last couple of years, and I think it definitely helped for sure.
Levon, yesterday in the stream, Danil Dubov, an excellent Russian player, mentioned that he considered that one of Hikaru's main skills was his defensive capacities. He's really tough to beat, especially in this format. Do you agree with that assessment by Danil after playing with him today these two games?
Yeah, of course. I think Hikaru is kind of, because, well, his openings were never his strong point. He got himself in bad positions quite often, but he always fights, so I admire that. And he's defending pretty well, as the first game showed. He defended a difficult position, even got a reasonable counterplay. So I think I need to work on my technique of playing better in better positions. So that's my conclusion out of this.
That was actually one of my questions for the third leg. You're coming back to play. Finalists here, you still have excellent chances to grab one of the two spots. So that's going to be your main focus during the next 3 weeks to try and improve even more your converting skills?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. This has been a problem, and the day before yesterday, also yesterday, I think my positions were pretty good, and I just let the advantage disappear. So this, I need to cherish the advantage more.
So my final question for Hikaru, what does this mean for you, this victory in such an important tournament and after such a dramatic tiebreak?
Well, I mean, I think it's nice to win, obviously. I mean, I think I had a little bit of luck. I think I got probably the best possible group that I could have asked for at the start, which definitely helped. But I mean, I thought I played well, and I mean, not to jinx myself, but it seems like I haven't lost a game in forever, so I'm pretty happy. But I mean, it's just one tournament, and we'll see how the second and third legs go and what the situation is.
Okay, as it's the last final press conference, we're going to offer the floor to any journalists if they want to field a question for one of the top players. Does anyone want to field a question for Hikaru or for Levon?
I would like to, yeah.
Yep, so we have a question. Probably best if you come towards here, say your name and your media outlet, and so we can capture your voice on the microphone.
Hikaru, Oliver Kern from Neues Deutschland. Congratulations, your last over-the-board classical tournament win was a couple of years ago, and it was a very different time for you then. Does that feel different now, winning this tournament, comparing to the others?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that this final Grand Prix, I think, was in Hamburg, if I remember correctly, and I had nothing to play for. So, I mean, I lost this match to Veselin. I think that's the last classical tournament I played, and I mean, there was just nothing on the line. So, I mean, I just played, and it didn't go well, obviously. But yeah, I think in general, the main difference is I just don't panic anymore. I mean, I get a bad position, and I just try to find good moves. I mean, I think that's the biggest difference is the mindset versus a couple of years ago. For me, and I mean, just in general, I'm a lot happier now than I was.
And now that you know that you can win on this stage again, is it still 50-50? The question about going to the candidates or giving a place to another one?
I mean, right now, I mean, none of that's on my mind. I think down the road I'll think about it, but still, it's only one tournament, and even though I won this event, I mean, I think if I finish last in my group or something, I won't qualify. So I think it's way too early to even think about such things.
All right, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Do we have any other questions from journalists here? Okay, so thanks both of you for a really exciting tiebreak, and good luck in your future endeavors. Okay.
You're okay?
You can ask questions now.
Oh, another interview with Dina.
That's gonna be short.
No, it's fine.
Do they know they're still on camera?
Right? Yes? No? We're streaming live. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are live.
Hikaru, congratulations. So, how does invincibility feel like?
That's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, I think I survived some bad positions in this event. But again, I mean, when I think about it, I played, what did I play? For the World Rapid Blitz, I didn't lose a game. I played the St. Louis event, I didn't lose a game. So I'm actually very proud of the fact that I haven't lost a Rapid Blitz game in a very, very long time. I think the last one I lost was probably to Ali Reza in 2019. Like I said before, I think mainly you try to find good moves. And I mean, I think the main difference is that I didn't really feel any pressure. I mean, even today, I was just playing. And I could definitely tell that for Levon, he was quite a bit more nervous than I was. So yeah, I think nerves play a role, but just in general, I mean, I just played well, and I think it showed.
You have already mentioned many times that one of the major differences for you here was that since let's say the past 2 years, you do not put so many importance to this game, so you play better, easier. Do you think there has been also this factor of you having a special hunger for games, since you had still a quite big break of classical?
I mean, I guess if there's one thing that's maybe different is having not played classical, when I'm playing the game, it feels fresh. I mean, if I think back to maybe 2019 or even 2018, you know, I play some game, let's just say it's against Shaka or Levon or someone like that. You reach the middle game and it's pretty boring, and I mean, already in my mind it's like, okay, this is boring, not very exciting, we're going to draw, and then that's life. But now, I mean, having not played, I don't really have any of those thoughts. It's more like I just try to play and find good moves. So perhaps, I mean, having that long break helped in terms of just like not being so negative towards the game of chess.
What would you name as the best game throughout all this event?
I mean, it's tough. On the one hand, I want to say the game against Grishuk, but that was also mostly preparation. So I mean, I just got a good position and won that game. But I think if I have to pick a game, I mean, I honestly felt that the second rapid game sort of epitomized, I mean, the difference between now and before, and that, I mean, I got this position that wasn't great, but I still just kept making moves. And I think in the past, if I had this position against Levon, you go back to 2019, I think there's probably at least a 50% chance, if not more, that I lose that second game, even after winning the first one.
What would be to you the most interesting opening idea throughout this first stage of Grand Prix?
I think what I did against Sasha probably was what I did against Sasha is one, and then there's also this idea that Levon played against Lenier. Those are probably the two games that are most critical for opening theory.
Right. Perhaps my final question so far. We also have the closing ceremony later on. Would you have to say a couple of words about the organization of the tournament in total? Also, now that the times are not easy and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of organization, it was very well done. They had testing every day. I mean, sure, it was kind of annoying to deal with, but I mean, I think that was good. I think the general, I mean, unfortunately, separation from like the crowds, I mean, also in a way was a good thing. But overall, yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of people here every day, a lot of people watching online, and I mean, I can't really be critical of it, unlike perhaps some other tournaments.
All right, well, now you have such a good month towards some good rest and also preparation for the next stage. Good luck with that, and hope you will enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
That was the
so
interview we
I
had
think-
with Hikaru. Hopefully he will be able to join us shortly as well. Yeah, with all that being said and done, you guys, of course, the congratulations wishes are coming in from everywhere for chess.com, chess24. So I think with all that being said and done, you guys, we are going to be taking, yeah, hopefully Hikaru will join us shortly for an interview. But with all that being said and done, I think we are going to be taking a short break, and we will be right back, hopefully, with Hikaru. See you guys soon. Welcome back, everyone, to the FIDE Grand Prix in Berlin. And look who we have here, Hikaru. Congratulations on winning the very first leg here in Berlin.
Oh, thank you. It was quite a smooth day overall. So, I mean, I'm quite happy with the result. Obviously, I mean, I got a little bit lucky maybe in the second game, but overall, I mean, it felt a lot smoother today than it did on some of the other days. So I'm pretty happy.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, what do you want to say to the fans? I mean, are there any moments you want to go through from today? Or
yeah, I mean, I think I'll save the moments very specifically for a YouTube recap. So I'll do a recap of the whole final match later. Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, in anytime you play a match that's 2 games, doesn't matter whether it's classical or rapid. I mean, whoever is the white piece in that first game, based on that result, it sort of sets the tone for the whole match. And I think today, Levon chose to go back into the Marshall, perhaps unwisely. He played something that I looked at before our first game, and I mean, I got a great position. It got kind of messy. I did not actually show great technique in the late middle game or early end game, but at any rate, I found a way. And I think once I won that game, it was obviously going to be an uphill battle for Levon. And I mean, then in the second game, obviously it was a little bit messy at times. I mean, I was very mad at myself because I played this stupid bishop b5 move when my intention was to play a5, but still found a way. And yeah, I mean, it was, as I said, very, very smooth today. So I'm quite happy.
Yeah, no, it looked like a very smooth performance indeed. So yeah, how do you feel? I mean, I guess overall you must be really happy after such a long hiatus that you came back and managed to win this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Or like in
yeah, I mean,
classical,
I'm a streamer first, so I'll say a couple of things. Obviously, first of all, what I will say is that obviously the sacrifice that I make by playing all these games is that I'm not studying openings 10 hours a day like everybody else. So I mean, I'm making some sort of sacrifice on that end. But having said that, by playing so much, doesn't matter who it's against, that keeps me a lot sharper than everybody else. Like I've played more games in the last 2 or 3 years, probably the last 2 years, than anybody else in the world. Well, maybe not amateurs, but amongst the pro players at least. You know, I've played more games than anybody else. So I think what that does is that keeps me a lot sharper. And I think it showed a lot, especially in this match against Levon today, where like even when I was just spotting things quicker, like Levon just missed his G4 check in the second game, whereas I had seen that 5 moves earlier. So I think just in general being fresher makes weirdly, I guess it's more important than spending 10 hours a day studying openings. Maybe I guess that's the takeaway. I don't know. I mean, if that makes sense or not, but yeah, I felt like it just felt very smooth. It really did. Now I'm sure it's not going to keep feeling smooth. Like next turn probably will be a lot more difficult for sure. And obviously, I mean, assuming I play in this America's Cup also, it should be a strong event. But you know, I felt good. I felt good throughout. I didn't really feel much in the way of nerves, except I mean when I got low on time. But that of course will happen to everybody. So yeah, it was just a great 2 weeks, or great 3 weeks, I should say, here in Berlin.
Okay, awesome to hear
Hikaru,
that.
do you
By the way,
think Levon little bit underestimated you?
I don't think Levon underestimated me. I think by the time I made the finals, I think for sure, I mean, he was aware of how dangerous I am. But again, like the thing is that, I mean, you play people like Bortnik all day long. And I mean, obviously Bortnik's not Levon. I mean, we all know that, but I mean, Bortnik is still like a 2630, 2640 GM. I mean, same goes for like Jocelyn, for example. And like, I mean, the thing is that, yeah, they're not Levon, obviously, they're not Magnus, but they're still, I mean, very, very strong players. And when you play them, like, they're just as strong tactically, I think, as all these top guys. So I don't think Levon underestimated me, but perhaps earlier, I think maybe in the group stage, like people like Sasha perhaps did underestimate me, I think. I think Sasha probably did when he played this King's Indian. And he just assumed that I mean, I'm streaming all the time. Obviously, I don't have time to prepare something against the King's Indian, but you know, I did. So maybe in the group stage, but I don't think Levon underestimated me at all. It's just the first game set the tone. I mean, once he got that bad position, and then, I mean, especially once he lost after he kind of clawed it back to where it should have been a draw. I mean, it's just really, really tough. So I don't think Levon underestimated me. Not at all.
Okay.
right, yeah,
Well, he
for
said
sure.
that you were getting worse positions out of the opening. So yeah, then I mean, kudos for winning anyway.
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, rapid is obviously different. In classical chess, I mean, perhaps if I had the position I had today against Levon, I mean, I don't know if I would have been able to save it, but you know, that's a trade-off. But again, practically speaking, if you're finding better moves than your opponents, I mean, good things happen. I mean, I could say the same thing. You could say the same thing about Magnus. There are a couple games like in Todd. I mean, like this game against Grandelius. I mean, he was lost according to the computer on like move 15, but I mean, it's still humans. You play the best moves, and Magnus, I mean, was better than Niels. I mean, I know the result was a draw, but still, like that's kind of the thing. Is that like again, there's that practical line in terms of like being absolutely precise or trying to be like super solid versus taking some risks. So it's all kind of relative. But yeah, it's obviously more than I could have expected, and I do intend to probably stream for an hour or two later after the closing ceremony.
Okay, awesome.
Amazing.
And by the way, just wanted to point out real quick that both in classical and in rapid chess, you gained exactly 14.4 points. Does that mean anything to you?
Okay, let me open it for like the third time in the last 3 weeks. What do we have? Let me
you
just
gained
open
the
the site.
exact same amount.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it now. 14.4, yeah, and 14.4, right. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter at all to me. Like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's just rating points. And I said this too, I mean, because people are acting like if you win a match or lose a match, you're better than the other person. I really don't think the differences between all the top players is very, very small. It's just pure consistency. That's the only difference. I mean, if you exclude a certain Norwegian player, he I think is probably better than everybody else. But like, if you look at myself or you look at Lev or you look at Fabiano, I mean, like, I think really the difference is just consistency. I mean, that's all it really is. Anybody in a 2-game match can beat anybody.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, not to rehash the meme, but I mean, I just don't care about the rating. I just try to play chess, and I mean, sometimes good things happen, and that's this was certainly a case of where things broke my way, and I found a way to win.
Right, and what is going to be your
Hikaru,
preparation for the third leg?
My preparation is going to be, I'm going to go back to LA, stream for the next week, move back to Florida, probably stream a few more weeks, and then fly to Berlin and play some chess. That's going to be the plan.
Nice.
I just wanted to ask if you had any issues with jet lag, and how do you cope with it, since you will need to go back home and then fly again to Europe?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that was one thing I didn't talk about throughout the tournament, but I actually was suffering jet lag for basically the whole time here. I mean, at the beginning, I think I was going to bed too early and waking up really early, and then by the end, I was like going to bed way too late and waking up way too late. So, I mean, the whole event was kind of scuffed in that sense for me in terms of sleep. But again, I was able to find a way, and I was able to just make the right decisions, I guess. And despite that, and yeah, I mean, we'll see for the next event. But at any rate, I mean, right now I'm just very happy to have won this event, and basically all the haters, especially those special people on RHS, can eat it.
Amazing. Well, congratulations again. And yeah, this is more than half a step towards candidates. According to all calculations, it's like 70% done.
I mean, I have no idea what the situation is. I don't even, I mean, like I said, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm going to go home, go back to streaming, and we'll see how the second event shakes out and go from there. But yeah, like it's just nice to win an event. I mean, it's just one event, and one of many events that I'll probably play this year, and it's always good. So I'm just happy.
All right. Well, congratulations once again. I guess you have to get going soon because
I'll just answer a couple quick questions. Yeah. So also, I was fairly superstitious. For those who are wondering, I did wear the shirt basically every day for the last week. But again, if superstition's working, you're doing well. You don't mess. You don't anger the gods. You stick to what's working. So yeah, that's something. For those who are wondering, but I mean, again, yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and I mean, I think I'll probably stream for an hour or two later, so I'll probably just join everybody then, and yeah, it's great to win.
All right, awesome. Yeah, well, I'm sure everyone here is looking forward to you being back to streaming, and yeah, I guess like we said, you gotta go probably soon to the closing, right?
Yeah, I kind of have to go now, so I will. Yeah, I'll see everybody probably in about like hour and a half, 2 hours. Probably just do like 1 2 hour stream, recap everything, and just we'll celebrate. So I'll see everybody then.
Okay, awesome. Well, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you later.
All right. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Marie, for the great coverage on the channel.
Thank you, Hikaru, for winning it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'll see you guys.
I'll see you. Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right, you guys. So
yeah.
We're very lucky to have him for an interview. But I think, yeah, that really wraps up everything. Once again, you guys, Hikaru wins the very first leg of the FIDE Grand Prix. He gains 13 points. He's not there just yet, but it's a huge step towards qualifying for the candidates. But I think with all that being said and done, you guys, we are going to be wrapping up here. It was really a lot of fun covering this event with you guys. You guys sent in so much energy and love Hikaru's way, and it gave him the strength to win the FIDE Grand Prix in Berlin. Maria, do you have any last words for everyone?
Yeah, did you notice how Hikaru said, I don't care whether I'm qualifying yet or not, I just want to go back to streaming. So streaming is bigger than the win, actually. So yeah, it's just amazing. He loves you guys. And it's all thanks to you that you were here, that you were sending your energy. He knew that yeah.
Yeah, no,
amazing. Congratulations
awesome
to all
indeed.
of us.
And if he does qualify to the candidates, we'll not let him give a spot away. He is going to play. Don't worry, you guys. And
we will see you in Madrid.
Yeah, we will see you guys in Madrid. Right. But for now, you guys, we are going to wrap up. Once again, big shout out to all of you guys here. Big shout out to all of the mods who worked so hard. And of course, shout out to Hikaru who really put in all the hard work. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Benjamin. It was a pleasure working with you. Looking forward for more. And yeah, see you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks Maria for being such an awesome co-host. We're gonna send the raid over to her.